Welcome to the Explainer. So, if you've ever stared at a dense grammar guide and just felt totally overwhelmed by the sheer volume of English verbs, trust me, you are not alone. It can feel like a massive tangled web of words with absolutely no rhyme or reason. But today, we're going to untangle that web together. We are going to decode the very engine of the English language, and we're going to do it with high energy and crystal clear focus.
Think about this for a second. Why does the verb make become made in the past tense, but bake doesn't become bade? I mean, you'd never say, I baked a cake yesterday, right? It's completely illogical. And this seemingly baffling contradiction is the absolute perfect hook for our topic today. It perfectly highlights the chaotic, sometimes frustrating, yet completely fascinating beauty of the English language. It looks like chaos, but I promise you there is an underlying matrix.
Okay, let's dive into this roadmap. We've got the engine of English, the 5 forms explained, the rule followers, the rule breakers, the shapeshifters, and finally, mastering the movement. Let's jump right in.
Section 1. The engine of English, driving the timeline.
5. Honestly, this single number might just be the most comforting thing you hear all day. Look, whenever we communicate with one another, we are fundamentally just telling stories. Whether you're recounting what you did over the weekend, explaining a business plan, or giving directions, you are navigating time. Verbs are the ultimate timeline drivers of any story. They move your ideas from the past right through the present and into the future. And even though our source material contains hundreds of verbs, words like act, believe, catch, dive, guide, and wander, and the English language itself contains thousands more, every single one of them fits neatly into just 5 forms. You literally do not have to learn 100 different conjugations for every single word. The chaos is actually contained inside a very strict, reliable box.
Section 2. The 5 forms explained. The matrix of verbs.
Here is your master key. Every verb has a V1 or present form, a V2 or past form, a V3 which is the past participle, an S form, and an ing form for continuous action. Let's trace our baseline word here, act. In the present, it's act. When we move to the past, it shifts to acted. For a perfect tense, the V3 stays acted. If a third party is doing it right now, it's acts. And if the action is actively ongoing, it's acting. It's just a beautiful, highly structured matrix that operates so smoothly across present, past, and continuous timelines.
Section 3. The rule followers, predictable patterns.
Let's talk about these dependable, good citizens of the English language. Add becomes added, answer becomes answered, decide transitions to decided, and cook becomes cooked. The pattern here is unmistakable. By simply adding a D or an ED to the baseline V1 word, you instantly create the V2 and V3 forms. And this brilliantly illustrates how that single rule creates massive consistency, making these regular verbs highly predictable and just incredibly easy to master. They do exactly what you expect them to do.
Section 4. The rule breakers, linguistic rebels. Now, let's contrast 2 verbs. On one hand, we've got our reliable rule follower. Add, added, added. Beautiful, clean, simple. But then, on the other hand, we have begin, began, begun. Wait, what happened here? There's no ED in sight. Instead, we have complete vowel-shifting chaos. The internal structure of the word itself completely transforms to indicate a change in the timeline. It's a total departure from the baseline rule.
Let's move along and see how this builds across a few other incredibly common irregular verbs. Fly becomes flew in the past and then flown as a past participle. Drink becomes drank and then drunk. And consider go. It becomes went and then gone. I mean, go and went don't even start with the same letter. These words drastically transform their spellings across time. They completely ignore the ED rule, which means they require active focus and memorization because you just cannot guess their past tense just by looking at their present tense.
Now, what's really interesting about this next bit is how the rules can change depending on where you're physically standing on the planet. Take the verb get. In V1, it's get. In V2, it's got. But in the V3 form, it splits. Our source material points out a fantastic geographical anomaly. In the UK, the V3 form remains got. But in the US, it transforms into gotten. This brilliantly shows that English is not some rigid, lifeless set of textbook laws. It's deeply, deeply impacted by culture and geography. Section 5. The shapeshifters, identical anomalies. Think about verbs like cut, hit, put, set, and shut. Notice anything weird? They are completely identical across V1, V2, and V3. It's honestly a bit humorous how sneaky these verbs are. If someone walks up to you and says, I put the keys on the table, well,
Are they doing it right now, or did they do it yesterday? The verb itself refuses to tell you. With these shape-shifting words, the surrounding context of the sentence is literally the only way you can determine which timeline you are in.
Furthermore, because English is a living, breathing language, some verbs are actively evolving right before our very eyes. Take dive. According to the data, its past form can be dived or dove. Sow can become sowed or sown. These dual forms are just incredible to observe. It essentially means the language hasn't completely made up its mind yet. We are witnessing verbs actively battling it out for dominance, shifting from rule followers to rule breakers and vice versa in real time.
Section 6. Mastering the movement, actionable strategy.
So, the crucial point is that mastering this whole system boils down to 3 simple steps. Step 1. Internalize that 5-column framework so you always know exactly where a verb sits in time. Step 2. Rest easy knowing you can rely on the predictable ED rule followers for the vast majority of verbs you'll encounter. And step 3, simply isolate and memorize the rule breakers and the shapeshifters. You absolutely don't need to try and memorize an entire dictionary from A to Z when you can simply master these distinct factions.
Ultimately, the whole shebang comes down to this definition: pattern recognition. By understanding the predictable structures of regular verbs, you completely free up your brain space to simply master the exceptions. You bypass exhausting rote memorization entirely. Recognizing these patterns is the absolute best way to achieve fluency. When you can see the matrix, you can instantly select the right verb form, and that allows you to tell dynamic, engaging stories in any timeline seamlessly. I want to leave you with a provocative question to chew on. Which irregular verb will be the next to change its rules? As we saw with words like dive and sue, language is constantly moving. Will a rule breaker eventually give up and become a rule follower? Will drink, drank, drunk one day just become drinked? As you continue reading, listening, and speaking, keep your ears open for these shifting patterns. You just might spot the next massive linguistic evolution in real time. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. Keep looking for those patterns, and I'll catch you next time.